What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monte and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we just got done with the great Tommy Rich, and it can only get better as we've got icon, Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin in studio.
Does Valentine know that he's here, by the way?
No.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
It's funny, you always bring up Valentine when we talk
When
about
I see Ronnie Garvin, I think about Greg Valentine, and I think about my frustration as a kid, because he always wound up screwing over Greg Valentine.
And I think about Jimmy Garvin, I think about him beating Ric Flair.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
what I think
of course I think about those things, but he was always the bane of my Valentine existence.
Oh. Okay.
And I still love the man, so, you know, it is what it is. But, man, if Valentine knew he was here, he'd probably go,
Well, we were speaking, and Ronnie, you could chime in, but we watched mostly WWE, and then when cable came, that's where Georgia Championship Wrestling came about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have access to Canada, and then Texas later on. But anyway, the point is
Florida.
that Bob Backlund, who talk about bane of existence, when we were growing up, we were just like, we rooted for the bad guy, so it was like we just wanted Backlund to lose.
Right.
But it's funny, as you get older,
Yes.
Backlund has become, like, we've had him in studio, and I mean, he is, what did you say the other day?
I said that we love Bob Backlund and Ronnie Garvin.
Yep.
What happened to us? Because when we were kids, we were always rooting for the bad guys. So you guys were driving us insane. When we got to meet you, the respect which was already developing over the years, just because time does that, and then we got to meet you, or Bob, we were like, oh my God, these guys are home runs. So it's amazing how, with age,
well, I'm flattered.
comes wisdom. So
As you grow, though, get older, the lights come on quicker,
oh sure,
more often.
Yes.
And you say, oh,
yes,
I used to hate that guy. Now I like him. I did stuff like that.
there you go. But it was pure wrestling, of course.
There. Me and Bob Backlund, yeah, I like the guy. He's
Well, I think it also
was an
becomes,
athlete.
it's more also the human being that
Yeah, the
you are,
conduct
right?
of
So,
right. Right.
Again,
Of
we're
course.
fans, right? We're
course.
not in the biz, and then we have people come on the couch, and we respect everybody that comes in for all that you've done for this industry. And let's be legitimate for the world, right? You've changed the world for the better at what you've done, but there's a difference between some of the people we meet and then a Ronnie Garvin and a Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
There's certainly.
I find it to be rarefied air.
Why
Quite
is
honestly,
that, Ronnie?
Out of respect.
I don't know. I talk to a lot of fans, and you know, they say, "Oh, you're a legend, and you're this." And I don't view myself as a legend. I don't know. Wrestling was a work of art to me. You do it right, it's like boxing. It's an art, you know. And first of all, you stay in condition. just for your looks. If you go in the ring and you're out of shape, people notice it. You might not like it, but they notice it. Their eyes don't lie. And work hard. I always treated the wrestling fans like the best I could. Very polite. They asked for an autograph. I stopped signing autographs. Even some people didn't like me. I didn't mind. You buy a ticket, you're allowed to boo, you're allowed to cheer. And where did our income come from? The wrestling fans. People say, oh, well, the promoter pay me. Where did the promoter get the money? From the wrestling fans. And you'll be surprised, when you go to these smaller towns in the old days, there was a lot of people. They took all their kids to the wrestling match. They spend their hard-earned money on entertainment, come to see the wrestling. Without wrestling, without the fans, there's no wrestling. Period. So
we asked Tommy earlier, and it was kind of off script, and now that you're bringing it up, were you ever requested to maybe make hospital visits for sick children and things like that? How did that feel for you?
Terrible. It's heartbreaking. I went to see a kid in the hospital in Atlanta. They have a children's hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the TV station, and this lady came in and asked me to go to the hospital to see her kid. And I went. And it was hard to take. I have a hard time talking about it. He died 3-4 hours after I left. Yeah, so after that I was, but I went, I just, because, kids, why do they have cancer? Why do they, and he was shaking my hand, and he was just, had a hard time breathing, his little hand. And at the time, I didn't think he was going to die that day, but he died after that. His mom sent me a card, wrote me a letter.
What's your take on famous athletes or celebrities who resist the idea that they're a role model and that they don't have to bear any responsibility being in the public eye? How do you feel about that sort of attitude coming from a celebrity?
They're full of themselves. They don't care about anybody. They think because they're in the limelight, they're stars or whatever they want to call themselves. No, you're just like the rest of us. Politicians do that too. They think we're better than us. A lot of entertainers, people that are making today millions and millions of dollars, they big contract, 20 million, 50 million. Where do they think the money come from? If nobody watched them, everybody tuned them out, what would they be? They put their legs in pants one leg at a time. They're no better than we are. People like that, I don't understand. I don't do it. I could never do that. And never forget where you come from. That's another. I was born and raised very poor, and I got very lucky in life. First of all, when you're healthy, you thank the good Lord every day for it. You can be healthy as heck in one moment, and your career is gone because you're sick. You come down with a disease. There's a lot of people who don't appreciate life. They don't appreciate every single day you wake up. I say, thank you, Lord. I do.
Yeah.
Well said.
And treat your friends right, and hang around with people that are like you. Same kind of way of thinking about life. People that don't hang around with people that are no good. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to brag, but that's one thing I think I'm pretty good about is I can read people. Believe me. Because my wife was impressed a few times. I said, that person is no good.
So what's your read on my partner here?
He's nutty, but funny.
Funny and nutty.
No.
Is he a good guy?
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, he's got a good heart.
See,
You were probably rooting for him to throw me under the bus because you love controversy.
Let me tell you
Hey,
something.
what do you think of my buddy next to me? What do you think?
Good people.
Thank you. Well, he is. He's
Good
fantastic.
people. I'll tell you, people that are funny are having a good time in life.
There you go. There you go.
That's what you try.
Yeah.
So, Ronnie, we're gonna hit some news items. Weigh in if you'd like.
Oh, no.
And then we'll go to commercial break, and then
News
purely
items.
Ronnie Garvin.
Okay.
Pat Benatar cuts "Hit Me with Her Best Bit with Your Best Shot"
Hit Me
from
with
her
Your
set
Best Shot.
list
Okay.
due to all the mass shootings. This Rock and Roll Hall of Famers decided to take "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" off her concert series.
Stop. Why? Because in the title there's the word shot. Everybody knows that this song is about a chick who's saying to a guy, hey, you're hot, hit me with your best shot.
Is that what that's about?
Of course it is. You're a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking little hearts like the one in me. Hit me with your best shot, not whip out a gun and blow away 1 million people. What is this? This is too sensitive. Stop it, Pat.
Ronnie?
It's too sensitive.
I'm laughing so hard here.
How's he going to follow that up, Ronnie? What do you think?
All right, okay. We'll go to something else, maybe something more my
It's
speed.
too extreme, changing the...
Person reports in the Post today,
What?
I saw feet in the toilet and realized I just gave birth to a baby. This woman took the term special delivery to new limits. Lucy Jones of Bristol, England, got a big surprise last month when she gave birth to her daughter Ruby in the bathroom. The new mom claims she never knew she was pregnant.
Of course not.
The 22-year-old who believed
Thought it was a
she
burrito.
recently gotten her period said that she just hit the toilet, the plans on pushing out poo. When she heard a crash and looked down, and there were 2 feet sticking out of the toilet. Pharaoh,
How do you not know you're pregnant? 9 months went by? What'd you think you had a tummy ache for fucking 6 of the 9? What you thought you gave birth to a burrito in that bowl? This is ridiculous. What is wrong with this? Did they take the baby away?
no.
They're gonna let the baby stay with someone who didn't even know they were pregnant. This baby is screwed.
Hey, I think that happens more often than you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, look what I found in the toilet. It's got feet and crying. This is normal? Wow.
It happens.
Oh, this is
Hey, Ronnie, if you didn't know,
ridiculous.
this is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy
Where?
Pharaoh.
Where?
Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, and Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music. Ronnie, if you're interested in Wisteria Hall, you could go to their YouTube page. You could hit like and subscribe.
He could.
You could go to Spotify. You could download their music.
He could.
You could go to Apple Music and download it.
He could try
And if
that.
that wasn't good enough, if you just didn't have enough, go to Reverb Nation.
Right. We're all over the place.
And if anyone didn't know,
Spread like mayo.
and if you didn't know, this is Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte DeFaro. Catch us on the Monte DeFaro YouTube page and Monte DeFaro Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor.
Yeah.
Also catch us on the Monte DeFaro Twitch TV page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, catch us on channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30, where we go back to back with Saturday Night Live, where you'll get to see this icon, Mr. Ronnie Garvin, in studio. And also catch us on channel 20 Tuesdays at 1 a.m., where we combine viewership of over 120,000.
Not bad.
And very interesting
bad.
enough,
Not bad.
Ronnie, our contract is up August 2nd, and I'm in deep negotiations right now. And the reason I keep mentioning it, because I just want cable to understand that this is not going to be a pretty discussion.
No.
Anyway, I'm excited for this. This guy is one of my heroes.
Yeah.
I can't wait until after this commercial is over, where we're bringing in Hands of Stone,
Hands.
Mr. Ronnie Garvin.
See you in a sec. Elm Logistics. For all your logistic needs, call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Tired of that same old breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Same old tasting scrambled eggs, burger, that dinner steak, ribs, or pork chops? Why not add a little bit of spice or just a touch of heat to make the difference. Change that scrambled egg with a little bit of Johnny Fabulous's John Cena Sr.'s $1 Million Jalapeno Hot Sauce. Great on burgers, steaks, chops, and those barbecued ribs.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. Again, very excited to have the great Ronnie Garvin in studio, clearly becoming one of my most favorite pro wrestlers.
Yeah, he leapfrogged everybody pretty much in my mind.
He has.
He has.
Him and Backlund, back to back.
It blows my mind, too. It really does. All right, Ronnie, let's go for a very hot topic right now. We got Ric Flair deciding at the age of 73 that he's going to get back in the ring. He's even confirmed recently that he's got an injury from his training, and he's sore as shit. That's his words. What do you think about Ric Flair giving this a shot at 73?
Well, I wouldn't do it if it was me, because I want to leave the impression and when I quit. That's what's in your mind. That's because if you step in the ring in the 70s, your body doesn't look very good. I don't care who you are. You know, I hate to say that, but if you're not embarrassed, you know, it's a choice. You know, I wouldn't do it personally. You know, and plus you can get hurt. I mean, you know, you get a certain age. I'm 77 years old. I don't want to break a leg. I don't want to break an ankle. I've seen it happen when Lutez went over to Japan, and he was just doing a demonstration of holds with Inoki, and his hip popped out. You know, because your bones are a whole lot more fragile at 70-some years old, and it's easy to get hurt. You know.
Let me ask you, that's a really good that you're bringing that up. You're a young guy back then, when these older guys wouldn't hang it up. What was going through Ronnie Garvin's head?
Well, either they need the money, maybe, or they need the attention. I don't really know. I have no reason to want to do that.
Did you ever get put in a predicament where you had to wrestle an older guy and have to carry the match? And how was that, if that did happen?
No, I never did. I can say I never. The oldest guy I wrestled might have been Ox Baker.
Ox Baker?
Yeah. But he was still, you know, maybe not in the greatest shape, but he was no push around, you know. And I remember I broke all his teeth, his false teeth.
Oh.
I dropped a knee drop on his throat, and his false teeth popped out of his mouth, and I stomped him in the ring, and I took all the teeth.
Did he get pissed off?
No,
he had gum afterwards.
He eat a steak. I can't. And then, you know, I saw him before he died about a month or two at some signing that I can't remember where it was exactly. And I liked the guy. He was a character.
Yeah.
He saw me from across the room, and I heard him like he was 3 feet in front of me. You know, and he called me the buzzsaw. He would holler. He called me a buzzsaw because I used to like to stomp his toes.
Ronnie, we had a friend who passed away at a very young age. He was a huge NWA guy, and you were one of his all-time favorites. And the question I have for you is, you get the title from Flair, and your push get up to that point was huge. The fans were behind you, everything else. Why do you think it didn't work out to the expectations that we all thought it was going to be?
Well, that was by design. You know, a booker has a lot to do.
Of course.
And there was some envious people. You know, I've seen it many times with other guys. You know, you get over too big, you're a threat. You know, it doesn't become anymore where how much money you're drawing is. You know, and the booker, you know, did his best to. I never got booked. I never had a title match after I won the title till I wrestled Ric Flair on the second time. You know, why? You know, I didn't really care at that point, you know, in my career, because I was ready to retire anyway. You know, I was 45 years old. You know, I was in good shape. I wasn't retiring because I had any problem. I was very healthy. But there comes a time you got to call it, And when that happened, I even pushed it faster because I quit after that. I quit the promotion, And the booker, well, y'all know who the booker was, He was hired by Crockett, and he didn't like the idea of somebody being more over than he was. See, I always was against a wrestler being a booker, because they pushed their own self.
So you're drawing money, but it didn't matter. They just wanted.
Well, it didn't matter to him, to his boss maybe, but his boss was mesmerized with him, Was really. He bought him a brand new Mercedes, which that's his business. But I'm saying, he was controlling a lot of things. And that same guy, the booker, the Rock and Roll Express were so over, they were like rock stars. Well, he couldn't handle it either. He would book him in some small towns, and those guys would sell out. The little town had never had a crowd like that at wrestling matches because they were over like rock stars. And then what he did is he booked himself in 6-man tag teams so they could rub off on him. So he was in a 6-man tags with them. I'm not stupid. I've been around a long time, and I could see all of that.
But you don't seem like a guy that would stand for that. Did you approach him at any point and be like, "What's your deal, dude?"
I never wanted to let him know. I didn't need the promotion. I didn't need them. I could quit working probably 5 years before. I didn't care. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to play that game.
Then why did he put the title on you?
Because I think it was the owner. They wanted it. But in a way, he didn't control much of anything. Because I don't know. I didn't really care. And I enjoyed the ride. It was short, but.
Did you ever discuss things with Flair when this was all happening?
Yeah, Flair was okay with it. But the thing was, I never seeing the standard in the business was when you lose the title, it's automatically a return.
Right.
Automatically.
Yeah.
It was since the day I got into wrestling. Never had one. Never defended the title. Never had, So, it's bad business. That's why I said a wrestler that's involved in the wrestling, if he's active, he should not be in the booking. Because, a booker's going to take of himself. It's natural. Maybe not all of them, They usually have in the old days, we had bookers that were wrestlers that were retired. They weren't wrestling anymore. But that's okay. They don't have much to gain by that. Their career is over, so now they're doing the booking to draw money for the company, and but that's what it was, They try to blame it on maybe I read some articles about McMahon taking over, stopped the pay-per-view, we lost the pay-per-view on that one, But all I can tell you is Joe Louis Arena was packed. It was sold out. You can't do any more than that. We didn't get the pay-per-view, so we lost a lot of revenue. Because there was a fight internal there with, the promotions.
Yeah, McMahon pulled the strings to stop
Yeah.
you guys, and
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
happened, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I wasn't to blame. We sold out the place. And another mistake they made is they took the live event out of the Carolinas. That's their base. They insulted the people.
Sure.
They did. Greensboro had never been the same.
Any satisfaction of seeing that certain booker in polka dots years later?
Oh, I'll tell you. I watched him. I liked him. When he started in the business, I used to ride in the car. He rode with me in the car. Murdoch and all that back in the 60s. But they weren't booker. He was not a booker. He was not involved. He was just like one of the boys.
So something changed over the years?
Yeah, something. And I loved it because I watched him insult Vince quite a few times. I mean, knock him. on TV, you know. And when he went over there, he wound up with polka dots. And I said, Vince is a genius. You know, he keeps the guy. He hired the guy. A lot of promoters would have said, "Go screw yourself," you know, go somewhere else. No, come on in. Vince took him in because he made money with him with polka dots on him. But he got his little revenge, you know, because, you know, there's the American dream turned into a polka dot boy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't help it but laugh.
Yep.
So, Ronnie, let me ask you this, since you brought up Vince. You kind of got a lot of different questions. Just about an hour and a half ago, Vince McMahon has retired from the WWE.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if you're aware, if you are, the allegations of the things that supposedly he had done, and he has decided to leave professional wrestling and retire. Do you want to like share your thoughts on the alleged things that Vince was claimed on, and maybe what your thoughts are as Vince McMahon as a person, and probably in the end, just for me personally, Vince McMahon, and I'm not trying to guide you any which way. He, to me, was a idol of mine, both in the business world and as a human being. And I understand things happen. I guess my point to you is, to me, this is a sad day. I feel like pro wrestling is dying today. So I guess the question is, Vince McMahon, the allegations, and your thoughts on the person, Vince McMahon.
I'd have to wait. I personally find it very hard to believe. But today there's so many people accusing people, you know, of all kinds of horrible stuff that never happened. And I'll tell you, ever since that the politics with Russia that never existed, what they were saying, you know, the conspiracy and all that, and never happened, you know. And I turn the computer on sometimes, and there's stories that, you know, they're lying. There's too much lying, you know. And right now, where's the proof? Somebody accused, you know, you got to wait till they can prove it, you know.
Well, they do have facts, and again, I'm pro Vince McMahon, but they do have facts that Vince has paid people off to keep quiet. I'm not saying he did anything, but there's a background there. I'm sure someone at his level, that must happen quite often, and I'm not saying that he didn't have affairs with these women. It could have happened. So what, in my opinion? But how do you feel this affects the world? I mean, is wrestling dying today? Is this the last day of wrestling?
Well, he runs. He's got the biggest business in the wrestling business. That's the biggest. Where do you go from there? I don't know. I don't know if it's dying. I think without Vince, wrestling is going to be hurt.
Agreed.
I think.
Agreed.
You know, I might be wrong, but like I say, it's hard for me to believe because, you know, but, you know, I want to wait and see before I make any comments that, you know, if he'd done that, I'm so sorry that, you know, he's not the person that I thought he was. You know.
It's a great take, Ronnie. That is a great take.
You know, and if he did, well, you'll have to deal with it and pay the price of the consequences, you know. Because I've always thought they were a very classy family.
Yes.
You know, his wife and daughter and son, you know, they were classy people.
Do you feel that the company's in good hands, considering that it should logically go to Stephanie and Triple H to continue running things? Do you feel like Vince has set up, you know, through his family, you know, a future for the company?
I think so. He's a very, very smart guy. You know, very smart guy, because they said he was going to fail. There was so many people against him. You know, when he took over the whole wrestling actually, and he took over because it was there to be taken. You know, he had offered a lot of promoters money. They told him to go screw himself. You know, and I was around the guy. He's going to fail. He'll never succeed. And he succeeded. He had a vision, I guess. You know, entertainment. I don't like the way wrestling is today, but financially, I guess it's very rewarding. You know, who would have thought that they would be on the stock market and it would be a list? You know, especially way back in say the '80s. You know, wrestling one day will be on New York Stock Exchange. You know, It's been very successful. A lot of money made. Of course, the technology helped. It's all over the world. All over the world. You can be in China. You can be anywhere on the planet. You know, and it's good for the wrestlers because you make a whole lot more money. See, we got to think. I tell the fans, I said, you know, especially the first 10, 15, 20 years when I wrestled, I got paid on the house. How many people was in the building and how much money was there. You know, we didn't have pay-per-views, you know, now that pays millions of dollars automatically, but you got millions of people watching. You know, it's so different than when I was. I got to experience some of it when I went to wrestle at WWE 1988 till 90 for 2 years. You know, that's totally different.
When you joined the WWE, I've heard some wrestlers. One, for example, Bad News Brown, for example. I don't know if you remember Bad News Allen at all. He claims that Vince was like, "Come to this, you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to retire." Did Vince give you those type of promises, or what was that when he first approaches you to come join the team? How's that conversation go?
When I was there was no contract. Period. And he said, "I'll take care of you the best I can." You know. And that's not him, actually, that said it. It was Pat Patterson.
Okay.
Because I had quit, you know, Crockett. And Pat's the one that called me. And he said, "We'd like to have you, you know, if you want to come." You know. And I told Pat, I said, "Yeah," I said, "I'd probably like to." I'd never been to the WWE before. My whole career, I stayed in the South. And I went. And when I got there, I thought, well, I think I made a mistake. I didn't fit in there, you know, the way I wrestled, what I did, you know, it's not what they wanted, I don't think, you know. But I looked around and I saw Greg Valentine, and I said, "That's the guy." You know, that was about the only guy, him and before that I did the same thing when Jake the Snake, you know. I did real well with Jake the Snake. And I said, with Greg, I know we can do something. Because I realize that if you're not on a pay-per-view, you're not going to make a whole lot of money. The pay-per-view is where the money is. And so I said, I got to come up with, so I approached Greg, you know, and I said, "I got an idea." And it was my idea, the whole thing. Vince changed a couple of little things because he always got to put his touch, which I understand. He owns a company. Mm-hmm. Like he called me Rugged Ronnie. Well, he said, "You look rugged." You know, he's got to put his, you know, input into it.
Not for nothing, that's stuck.
Yeah.
I always think about you as Rugged Ronnie.
Yeah.
So Vince knew what he was doing.
Well, it kind of rolls off the tongue, right?
It does.
As they roll.
It completely does.
So let me ask you this: how does a person like Bad News Brown say that he had a conversation with Vince who says, "You're going to make millions, but you're telling me that they offer they're giving you an opportunity," which you hear a lot of people say. Why is there such confusion between wrestlers, or is it just that people hear what they think?
You got a lot of people that expect. Maybe he thought that Vince said it, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
He never said anything like that to me.
Right. That's not
He
consistent.
said, "We're
from
going
what
to
you
take
know.
care of you the best we can." In the old days when they didn't have contracts, you know, and you had the power if you start drawing, you know, to say, "Hey, I'm going to leave. You know, I want more money," and usually they come up with more money. You know, that was your only way. If you didn't get over, you didn't have much of an argument about getting more money.
Yeah.
You know, you don't put any people in the house. You're not over. You know, and it's not all the wrestlers are going to, you know. Plus, you got to have the right guy, the right person to wrestle, and you got to be in the right place. And that's what I saw with Greg, and I was right. You know, it worked.
Speaking of drawing power, you did work with Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
Any memories?
Yeah, we went all over Baltimore and Philadelphia and Cleveland and back in the 80s, early 80s. And, oh, man, we went around and, yeah.
You shake your head when you hear stories about him today with some of the things that he's gone through with his life, his antics and you know, all of his battles. And
you know, if I could just add to that. So you're really a respectful, got your shit together guy. How hard is it to work with people that just, and again, we're all human, right? We just talked about that. Working with people that just can't get their shit together.
Well, you just said it. We're human. We're all different. You know, there's people that don't understand how life works. You know, like you're doing drugs and you're not showing up on time, and there's always a screw up. And they're talented usually, people that do that.
Was Jake reliable when he worked your programs with you? I mean, he showed up and everything. This was a different Jake Roberts than the one he's become, or became.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we had some. I really enjoyed it. I mean, we beat the shit out of each other.
I enjoyed it. We beat the shit out of each other.
You know what he says? He goes around, and I saw a video of him. He goes around and tells people, the harder you hit me, I had goosebumps.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
That's what he says.
That seems to be everybody's point. When they wrestled you, it was a fight. Like you beat the holy hell out of them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the guys I made money with never complained. I didn't complain. I'd never give anybody what I wouldn't take. That's fair enough.
How about the guys that said, "Hey, Ronnie, you're not chopping me tonight"?
I chopped them anyway.
You said, "I'm chopping you. I don't give."
You can leave.
Yeah.
After the third one, if you don't like it, hit the dressing room.
There's the dressing room.
Hit the shower, man.
There you go.
I don't want to make this a Dusty bashing thing, okay?
No, I'm not.
No, but you mentioned you were riding with Murdoch, who we've had Atlas in, and
Well, he was one of the boys. He was a good.
But Atlas claims, or Tony says, that he was a KKK member, and
Murdoch. Half of the. I don't know.
You never saw it.
I never saw it.
Okay.
He was rough around the edges on a lot of stuff.
Right.
And but no, I never.
Well, let me ask you this. Going back to Bad News Brown, I keep sticking on this because I just happened to see this interview. Bad News said that Dusty was extremely racist. Did you see that?
No, not really. But he might have been perceived as that, but I didn't see it. Dusty was a good guy. I liked him when he was one of the boys. We rode together. We had a lot of laughs. We drank beer. Went to the bar. I remember we'd wrestle in Jacksonville, and we'd race to Tampa to get the bar. We'd close at 1. So sometimes we'd get in just in time to get a couple of beers.
What caused him to do what he did to you, though, with the booking? Was there like a turn where Dusty just changed? Was there an event?
Yeah, he changed over the time.
Did you try calling him out for his change when it was happening, when he was starting to change? Because, like you said, he was one of the boys with you. Yeah. What happened?
Money, greed, money, power, glory, whatever it is.
Right. Why do you think Dusty gets a free pass and Hogan gets killed for that sort of protecting your own deal?
I don't know. The business was interesting. We had so many characters, and so many personalities. There was some guys that didn't talk very much. There was guys that was out of shape completely. There was guys that was bitching all the time, about this, about that, about everything. I ignore people like that. You're not going to ruin my day. People are always bitching and complaining. Well, leave. And when it happened to me, I left. I never stayed a place that I said, I'm done. And the first thing I did when I had a couple of old timers, Art Nelson, you ever heard of him? Mm-hmm. Art Nelson. And what's his name? He's a Mexican, Pancho Villa. They were like my dad. He was an older guy, ex-boxer, and he was a good wrestler, good worker, and never made any big money. I don't know why he should have, but they told me stuff that I never forgot, because Pancho told me, he says, I never done it, and he says, I regret it. He says, first thing we should do when we get in wrestling back in those days is save enough money that you can live a couple, 2-3 months without, in case you get hurt, because there was a lot of guys that lived on day to day, they didn't make big money, made enough money to live. I never had a problem with that, and I did that. And when I reached a point that I had 6 months to a year, I didn't care. I was ready to go if it didn't work out, because if they knew you were broke, they took advantage of you. Guys would move their whole family, say from Florida to Texas, or Florida to Oklahoma, or Florida to where, you know, they got kids, they got to enroll in school, they got to rent a house or apartment. You know, there's a lot of deposits for electric, deposit for this. That's a lot of expense to move a family. And the promoters, when they find out you're broke, man, they treated them like dirt.
They ate your lunch.
You
And
know,
they give
were,
Vince McMahon a hard time.
and they were stuck.
Yeah.
You know, not all promoters did that.
Who was, in your illustrious career, was the most evilest of promoters?
I think Nick Goulas.
Really?
Nick
Why?
Goulas and Tony Santos.
Why?
Nick Goulas probably more than that. Why? The guy was just, he's just a bad person. He was, you know, I worked for him, and he never talked to me. I got called, I wrestled for his promotion in 1972, I think. It was, what's his name, the wrestler that was a booker there. They wanted me to come to Memphis. I'll think of his name in a minute.
Well, I think of Memphis. I think of Lawler.
Not Lawler, the other is another.
Jerry Jarrett?
Jerry Jarrett.
There we go.
Jerry Jarrett called me. Terry was at Jimmy as a manager, and they had he had a partner. And he wanted me to take the partner's place. He wanted two brother image thing, you know, and because I was leaving Charlotte. And I said, I don't want to go because I don't want to deal with Nick Goulas. I swear to God I would never go there, you know, because I had heard so many stories. After you hear 30, 40, 50 stories about the guy and none of it is good, you know, why would you want to go there?
It might be a pattern.
You
right.
know, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
So, oh, no, he says, you'll deal with me. I said, okay, but you got to make sure. I don't want to deal with Nick Goulas. Well, I went, and the first day I went to the office, the first day, that's how cartoon that territory was. I walked in on a Monday to get my bookings, and they said, we can get you a ride. I said, no, ma'am. It was Christine Jarrett, the mother. She was running the office for Nick. I said, no, ma'am. I said, I'll drive by myself. She said, well, I got a bag for you. She had a bag. It was an outfit of a like a doctor, what do you call it? A medic.
Mm-hmm.
With a mask and everything.
Oh,
Want
boy.
me to wear that. I said, ma'am, you can tell Nick Goulas he can wear it. I'm not a cartoon. I came here to do business. And I says, I'm heading out of here. Goodbye. I turned around and walked out.
Wow.
And they had the stooge there. One of the, every office has a stooge. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
He followed me all the way to my car. Oh, Ronnie, Dusek. Oh, no, he says, Christine said to come back. Christine said, I said, no, I'm out of here. Well, I'm halfway into the car, and he's hanging on to me. No, please, he says. I said, well, I'll tell you what.
I don't want to be
a
the
good
masked
guy.
medic.
I said, I'll walk back in there and see, you know, what I can do. I walked back in there, and I said, ma'am, if I hear any more about this cartoon stuff, I wrestled. My name's Ronnie Garvin, by the way. I'm not a medic. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not anything like that. I'm Ronnie Garvin. If you can't accept it, just let me know. Oh, she apologized over and over. I said, I'll go. I was booked in Birmingham on a Monday. Memphis was on a Monday. There was 2 towns every night. So they didn't want to put me in Memphis right away with Terry. They were going to ease out his partner, and I was going to come in. And we did good business when that happened. Oh, man, Memphis sold out every week. Every week. I never seen a town like that.
Wow.
Sell out, no matter. It was just, it was the best town I've ever seen for wrestling. I mean,
Memphis, from what you hear, was crazy back
Oh.
then. So let me ask you about wrestlers. You talked again, not bashing Dusty Rhodes. People that take themselves too seriously. You've wrestled so many people. You're a legend who's wrestled legends. Did you ever have the opportunity to wrestle a Mil Mascaras?
No.
What wrestler took their gimmick so seriously they were too difficult to work with?
I never had really a hard time with anybody. To tell you the truth, I never run into anybody. I never had a problem. I only had one problem. Well, it was a problem not with me, with Randy Savage. You know, I didn't know the guy. He just came in, and Tiger Conway and myself were against the Poffos, Randy Savage and them. And I don't know if I ever told that story before.
Yeah, I think you
guys.
clobbered him with an implement of destruction.
Yeah, well, and that was the only problem.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, it didn't
Wow.
last long. Well, they were going to team up on him and beat him
Right,
up.
right.
And it was a lousy match, because I don't know what was going on. And then I was his partner, and I said, "Well, you ain't going to double on my partner without me being involved." And when we left the ring, the match was over. They jumped him, and I handed it real quick.
Was the Poffo family an odd type of family? I mean, was Angelo the miser that
You want to
they
hear
said-
the best one?
Go ahead.
Every single day, I was in the office. I had 20% of that territory, I had bought. And I didn't know them very well. They came to me, and Bob Rube and Bob Orton, they wanted to. So that's how I got involved. And every single day, we were in the office. Rube and Orton, we'd look at each other. Angelo would say, "Better dead than poor and alive." And I'm going, better dead. No. Better, I got it wrong. Better rich and dead than poor and alive. He had something about money. He was the miser. He was a real miser. There was no work there. He was a miser. I mean, better rich and dead than poor and alive. That was the line that we heard almost every day like a prayer. And he brought in a couple of friends. One guy, he was from Hawaii. I can't remember his name now. Oh, he can cook so good. We've known him for 20-some years. And then when he got there, they treated him like dirt. I mean, we looked at each other and it was a weird family.
Was Randy more like Angelo, and Lanny was kind of the oddball?
Lanny was a happy-go-lucky guy. Really, he was. I like Lanny. He didn't care about much. He just liked to have a good life. And,
What'd you think of the name Lanny, though?
Lanny?
Like, I always thought, why'd you name this guy Lanny?
Leaping Lanny.
Forget Leaping Lanny.
Leaping just makes it.
I mean, is that his real name, Lanny? It's his real name, right?
Yeah.
That's an odd name, is not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Here's my son Randy, and here's this kid I really don't like that much. Here, Lanny. We'll name him Lanny.
Born to be the genius, obviously. Oh,
It was
my
weird.
Lord.
The whole family, I think Lanny was the.
He's the cool one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he liked to laugh. And
There you go.
He didn't care.
He
didn't
balanced
get-
that name.
So you're around
I
all
like
these
Lanny. What
you're
the
around all these bookers, right? And now we see that their sons have turned into these wrestlers. Did you feel a necessity to kiss the sons' asses at some point, be nice to them even though you didn't like them?
That's one thing I never did.
I can't see him doing it.
You're
Yeah.
going to. No.
Nope.
Was Cody Rhodes this little punk yeah, my daddy's the booker and poking you or something like that?
I never met the kids.
No, never, huh?
There you
Never
go.
met the kids. I didn't even know he had two sons.
There you go.
I did. Yeah, I knew he had one. It was the other one there.
Dustin.
Dustin. Yeah, I
Right.
knew that. But I
Right.
didn't know he had another one.
Right.
I never got a real personal with him, about his life and all that. Even at the beginning, we was just kids, get back to the bar. I was in my 20s.
Right.
They were in their 20s. We ride the road. I drove like a maniac. 100 miles an hour to get to the bar.
There you go.
We'd slide in the parking lot in the gravel with the brakes on, and we'd just got there without a second to lose. They were closing, That was like a race. It was funny.
Previously, when we talked about you really being one of the guys that defeated Andre the Giant, which was kind of
In a handicap
in a
match.
handicap, which kind of brushed.
Right?
Yeah.
What was
There you go.
Andre difficult to work with, or was he? What was Andre like?
Andre, if Andre liked you, he give you the moon. And he just happened to like me, and I don't know why.
You got lucky.
We had him, my wife and I had him over, maybe because I spoke French, but from day one, he was a gentleman.
Did your wife have to cook for Andre when you
He
had
didn't
him
eat
over?
very much. He didn't eat any more than I did.
Really?
He
What?
drank a lot.
Just drank a lot.
Just drank a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one plate of food is all I.
Wow.
My wife thought, oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
cook 2 pigs and a whole.
Wait a minute.
cow.
So you have him over? No, hold on. You have him over the house, right? Hi, honey. I'm bringing Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Where's he sitting?
Funny enough, we had one big chair, rustic, it was heavy duty chair.
Okay.
And that's what he sat on.
So your wife's like, I got the perfect chair for this guy.
It was like an antique
Now,
thing, but it was.
And you're a woodsman type. At least you strike me as that. Did you have a big outhouse in the back for this poor fella? I mean, after the one plate of food,
Well, it's funny. You
I
say
don't
that. It's
know,
probably
I'm
why
just wondering,
probably
you know.
why you didn't eat so much, right?
yeah. Wow.
Well, he
Holy
was
limit.
full of liquid.
Oy.
He drank a lot.
You
That's
mentioned
right.
earlier about
But
guys.
he was a good soul, man. I tell you.
Well, you're very fortunate he just naturally liked you, because we've
Yeah.
heard stories of when he doesn't like somebody. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
a good place
yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be.
Well, I was with him one time. I couldn't believe it. I was in New Orleans, and we went on Bourbon Street. My wife was with us, and we had the guy from Canada, the big guy. He was his interpreter. See, when I did all that, he hadn't been in the States very long. His English was not very good,
Oh, okay.
but he
It's
understood. He understood a lot of English. Anyway, we coming out of Bourbon Street, going back to our car, and it's 3:00 in the morning, and there's a couple coming by us, and this guy was about 5'7", 5 foot. He looks at Andre and he says, "What a freak!"
Oh.
Called him a freak.
Wow, boy.
Andre picked him up by the shirt, lifted him up, and he went like a slow motion. He would have killed him if he hit him hard.
Yeah.
His hand was so
He
heavy
just took it. He
and
just
thick, I think he knew his strength.
He did.
But he
Okay.
knocked him out. He dropped him on the side. The guy, and the wife is screaming. So he picked him up a second time, and he went another one. It was like a slow motion, and you heard the puff,
Wow.
and he dropped him again.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh shit, we're going to jail." So I said, "Let's go." So we started going towards the car, and we turned the corner, and there's our car. And I said, "Man, I don't hear no sirens or whistles or anything." So we got in the car and we drove off. Never
Wow.
heard him. Never heard a word about
Wow.
it. But that woman was screaming.
Speaking of someone who should have probably been smacked in the mug a few times, did you have a relationship with Jim Cornett? Can I ask about Jim Cornett?
Jim Cornett, he said he was scared to death of me.
He was scared to death of you.
That's what he said.
Okay. How did we get along with Mr. Tennis Racket?
Well, he said I look like a maniac in the ring. That's what I heard him say that on some interview or something. And because they put him in the ring with me one time. I forgot, some kind of gimmick match. If I beat the guy or something, he gets 5 minutes with me in the
Yeah,
ring.
yeah,
Something
okay.
like that. I can't remember all the details, but
Right.
he thought he was going to die, I guess. The way he called it, he says, "You look like a maniac." But he was all right.
He's okay.
Only one time
Were you protective over the industry though? Because again,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So it's like, here's Cornette. We talked about it with this Tommy earlier. I guess from what I understand, his mother used to pay people to allow him to get involved in
Way
the
in the
industry.
beginning. Way in the beginning.
How does someone like a Ronnie Garvin accept this outsider into the industry?
Well, I never knew the history.
Okay.
I didn't hang around with a lot of guys. Pick your friends. That's who you hang around. I travel with guys I really like. Rock and Roll Express, man. We practically live in the plane. I had a plane, and when I go north in Ohio and Michigan in the '80s, it was what's his name? I forgot his name.
Did the boys always jump on your plane like, "Hey, Ronnie, can I get a flight with you?" Or
Oh, as soon as their bookings come out, "Are you in that town?" Oh yeah, man. If I would have had all 50 seats, they would have filled it up, I guess.
now, did you charge them to fly with you?
Yeah, they paid. Yeah,
Okay,
Nice.
they
Nice.
paid. What I did is what the cost of my airplane was to operate, and they'd split it between them, and so basically I never, it paid for itself.
You ever try to get Dusty on the plane? You got to drop them off over the
I
Atlantic
didn't have a
Ocean?
plane big enough.
That's great.
I should have got a transport plane.
Pharaoh hates flying, so
I'm
can you
not
tell?
a fan. Not a
The
fan.
many times you've flown, can you maybe share a story where it got a little dicey and you thought maybe
Oh, some
we're
of the
not
boys
coming
can
home?
tell you some good ones.
Let's hear it.
Some of that I forgot because they always bring it up every time I run into them. You know, the Rock and Roll Express. One time we went through a storm. They were holding each other by their legs in the back. They were like, you know, because we were bouncing and we were going up and down, and
No.
they thought they were going to die. I guess. You know, another time I made a landing because I lost my electrical. I made a landing and fixed the problem.
Oh my God.
You know, then
Fix
we
the
took
problem.
off again.
Who was in the plane with you?
Not me.
I forgot.
Well, let me ask you this: did Rock and Roll Express never fly with you
Oh
again
no,
after
they
that
flew with me.
experience?
They flew with me.
They
Right back
flew
in
with
the
you
plane
again.
the next day.
Then it couldn't have been that bad.
They always won. Oh, they said, man, you did a hell of a job. I said, well, thank you. Get back in the plane again.
My first and only time bouncing down the runway, I jumped out and kissed the ground and never got on one again.
No
That's
flying
it.
for Pharaoh.
No
Well,
flying.
I flew
for me.
DC-3s for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, cargo. Yeah.
Didn't you ever worry though? I
I
mean,
had 13 shutdowns engines in 13 years. 33.
how do you get back into
I
a
got it
plane?
in my logbook still.
How do you get back into a plane after having, like you said, once or twice a mechanical issue with confidence? I'd be
Well,
scared shitless.
you train for it. You got procedures you go through,
Okay.
and you hope for the best and don't screw up.
Well,
It's
a
like
lot
the
of
guy
hope
that
for the
landed
best.
in Hudson.
A lot
You
of
know.
the planes you fly,
Right,
though,
right,
pretty
yeah.
much handle themselves, right?
Oh no, there was all hand. No,
Oh, so you were doing a hand.
well, they were built in 39 and 40 and
Right.
42.
Right.
So let me ask you this, though. So then I hear when you fly, if you become very like discombobulated, it's a big time problem because you don't know if you're going up or down.
Oh, like JFK
That's
Jr.
somebody.
Disoriented.
I'm instrument rating. If you got instrument rating, you're trained for that.
Mhm.
You know, well, your instrument will tell you what your airplane. If you're right side up, you know, if you're a new pilot and you go fly and you get into a cloud and you don't have instrument rating, that's what's dangerous
Sure.
because you won't know if you're upside down, if you're sideways.
Right.
You know, you got a attitude horizon, you know, and that's how you tells you which side the plane is at. If you're turning, you know. Yeah, I bought my airplane and about 8 months later I went and got my instrument rating because I was using it at night coming back, you know. So without instrument rating, you're just flying. You can fly all day long, which is fine. But if you're going to use it for business, you better get instrument rating. And then I got my commercial, and I got more, and you know. No, what's his name? Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junior.
That was so stupid. You know, he didn't have to die. He was dumb. You know, maybe that's why he went 2 or 3 times to get the test on being a lawyer. You know?
Does his story sound believable to you? Because I still feel that they snubbed him out.
Yeah, it's very believable.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He just was overwhelmed.
Mm.
The airplane was too much for him.
Wow.
Well,
What a
he had the
waste.
money. He could afford the airplane. It was too complicated of an airplane and too fast for him.
For him.
He should have been in something
Damn.
a little bit smaller and, you know, not as fast. Because it's like driving a car. Could we drive around the track at 200 miles an hour? Any of us?
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, airplanes, things happen fast,
There you go.
you know.
There
And
you
you got to be ahead of the airplane. In this case, the plane was ahead of him. You know, he lost it, you know.
Wow.
Didn't have a clue. Killed his wife and the sister-in-law and himself.
Well, you
Sad.
hear, that's what I say. You hear this all the time. Once they lose what
Yeah.
they're doing, it's
You get
over.
disoriented. Yeah. Because they didn't learn to fly instrument. It takes about 3 months.
Mm.
Yeah, every bit of 3 months. Unless you want to do it every day, you might be able to do it in a couple of weeks. But there's a lot to cram in. You know, there's a test. They take you for a check ride. You know, they block your windshield. You know, you can only see the instrument. You can't see outside. They put a mask, a hood on you. You know, and you only got the instrument right in front of you to simulate. Because when you're in the fog, it's gray. You don't see nothing. So you don't know if you're flying this way
Yeah.
or this way.
How come this is not mandatory to take this?
Well, it's mandatory if you fly commercial.
Okay.
No,
but just in general,
And it
though.
should be, well, it's mandatory for somebody that's got brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
You put it, you make it mandatory for you
Right.
to save your life.
So
Right.
what's the bigger rush? Flying your wrestling friends to the next town or wrestling at WrestleMania?
I love flying. That's my love of my life. I miss it till today, this day. I retired in '03. I haven't flown since '03. Still got my license. If I pass my physical, I could fly again, but I don't want to do it.
Right.
You know. But yeah, flying. WrestleMania was great. It was great. I enjoyed it, you know. But the flying, I told the boss, my boss, I said, you didn't know this, but I would have taken this job without pay.
That's great.
You know, it was an adventure. We flew cargo that was on demand. It was not a routine. You get called, you're going to Seattle. You get called, you're going to Puerto Rico. You get called, you're going to Miami. In the middle of the night, we flew cargo all over the states, and even I went to South America one time, one trip. I went to Puerto Rico 2 or 3 times on a relief thing. They had a hurricane that went through there, so I was flying hurricane relief. You know, the waters and all kinds of stuff, loads of it. Our company did, you know, and you know, it was an adventure. It was not a routine. If you fly for an airline, I didn't want to fly people. Fly for an airline, you bid on a route every month. Well, it used to be. I don't know if they do that
Right.
still. Well, it gets boring. You're doing the same route, back and forth, back. You know, this year it was man, and you're free. I'm the captain. It's up to me to keep it safe, fly the plane. It's my decision. We didn't have anybody. No, the company didn't. No decision on them. You know, can you do it? Yes, sir. I never turned a trip down, ever, in 13 years.
Well, you could definitely hear the passion that you
Yeah.
have
Oh.
for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, forgive me for this, but I heard you mention Puerto Rico, and I just want to know what a legend thinks about, here you are, I don't know if you were there, but I don't think you were there. But when you hear Bruiser Brody gets killed in Puerto Rico as a wrestler, what's going through your mind?
I wasn't surprised. Brody
Why?
was a good guy. He flew with me, and but he was pushy. And you got to be careful. He's a big guy, you know. People, you got to be careful with what you say to people and what you know. If you perceive a threat, how's the person going to react? You know, and he could have been physical. You know, I've never seen him physical, but you know, and he was impressive. You know, he was a big guy, and he was a hell of a heel. And I think personally he was a good guy. I never had a problem with him. Him and Robley, they'd fly with me when I was in Oklahoma.
By the way,
And-
you're not the first person that has said on that couch that Brody might have pushed the limits on this deal and
I
caused
think-
this upon
well,
himself.
first of all, the guy had, it's not an excuse. I don't use it as an excuse. But first of all, his state of mind, because he lost his little girl drowned in the pool.
Invader.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
you know.
Okay.
And Brody was hard to do business with, you know, in the ring. And I don't know any more than that, you know. There's a reason for a man to wrap towel around your wrist and having a knife and going into a room and, you know, stabbing him. But I don't know, I wasn't there. But it shouldn't have happened. But
Did
you
that-
don't know the state of mind of a person sometimes when they have a tragedy
Yeah.
happen in their life, and it's a kid, you know.
Did you ever work Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah,
So
I
did-
went right after that.
so
I made some money there because they paid me well. What's his name called me?
Cologne?
Cologne. I knew him for years. He called me, and he said, "We need you," and they took care of me. And I said, "Well, you know, I'll go because I have no problem going over there. I don't have no enemies, you know."
This is after Brody.
Yeah.
Were you one of the first
'Cause
ones
they
to go there
boycott-
after Brody?
A lot of the guys boycotted. You know.
Right. So you're one of the first to go there after the Brody incident.
I don't remember if I was just the first, but yeah.
One of the first.
Yeah, it was not long after.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And
Man.
I went. I said I didn't have anything to do with that. And the guy never went to jail, but you know, you're in a different country. You're you're part of the United States, but still, you know. And what didn't help him, it was his gimmick. He was a hell of a heel, you know. And he looked like a vicious guy, you know. You know, in his gimmick when he wrestled, you know, he was a violent guy in the ring wrestling, and that probably didn't help.
Right.
You know, people look at that, and the other guy was a small guy. He's a small guy. He's not a big guy.
All right. Ronnie, I got a fan question out there. He says, thoughts on Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan?
What is what now?
Your thoughts on Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, who, by the way, rest in peace to his wife who passed away recently.
Oh, I saw him about 2-3 years before he died. I was at a signing. He saw me across the room, and I could hear, oh, I felt so bad. I didn't know he had throat cancer.
Right.
You know? And he gave me his book. You know, I wanted to pay him. He said, no, I don't want no money. You're insulting me if you give me money. He was a funny guy. You know, he'd make you laugh. I made trips with him. Jeez, he was always joking. You know, it's like there was no serious moment. You know.
How about Gorilla?
Gorilla, I didn't know him that well, but I liked him. You know, he was a big guy, and you know, he treated me good when I was in New York. You know, yeah.
Vince treats you better than a lot of the NWA territories. Did Vince, your experience with WWF, actually better treatment than most of the NWA territories you went through?
WWF, they treated me good. I never had a problem because I didn't go to places that had a bad reputation.
Okay.
You know, I just bypassed it.
Okay.
I had calls all the time, you know, to go here, go Minnesota. I didn't like Minnesota because I didn't want to be in the cold weather. You know, the West Coast, I went to California early in my career. I wasn't there but a week. It was crazy then. It's still crazy today. You know?
All right.
And I went to Oregon. I liked Oregon. But I didn't stay either. I stayed, I just passed it through. And I just like the South, you know, the southeastern corner, you know. And I liked, I lived in Oklahoma. I liked Leroy McGurk, was very nice, you know, a very nice guy. I remember when I went there, and he said, well, I got to let you go. You're pretty green. And he says, but I can get you booked. Well, I was in Boston. Tony Santos would have never got me booked anywhere, you know. So I said, sure. And he got me into Houston. And I went to Houston for a couple, 2-3 months. You know, and when you're green, you know, you can't stay long. You know, they just turned the young guys under, you know, back then.
Right.
You know, you stayed 3 months and they ship you out somewhere else. Then from there, I think I went to Mobile, Alabama, which is good. That's how you get your experience, you know.
Ronnie, I got a few questions before we cut out. Fan asking, what's your thoughts on Bruce Prichard?
Prichard.
He was a booker and probably a writer for the WWE at the time you were there.
Yeah. I don't really know him that well. You know, I wasn't around him much. I ran into him. I remember his name. You know, I remember his name. But as far as, I never traveled with him. I never had conversations with him much. It was hi, you know, small talk.
Ronnie, I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. I'm not a very big fan of women's wrestling. I'm just not. Obviously, back in your day, they had their spot on the card here and there. But how do you feel about today? The way the women have become almost, you know, like the main event half the time. It seems. Would you know any take on that?
No, I don't know. Does it draw?
I don't know, Mike. Does it draw?
To me, it draws.
Yeah, it draws his attention, but I'm not so sure it draws mine.
Well,
I'm
going to have to look and see if it draws me.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so he's going to have to look into that one.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting rise.
I know it's completely different than the old days.
Sure. Ronnie, one more question from a fan. I'm sorry, I gotta change my outfit a little bit, Pharaoh, because the way my eyes are working nowadays.
What's wrong with your outfit?
Well, because I can't
doesn't
really
smell
see,
or anything.
So you know what, Ronnie? Don't feed into this nonsense.
What are you talking about? Yeah, put this on.
Bam Bam says, I know Ronnie Garvin is one hell of a tough guy. How would he rate Raymond Rougeau?
Oh,
Raymond is a pretty tough guy himself. I wrestled the Rougeaus in Montreal, 1985. And Well, they come from a family that, very popular in Montreal. His dad was probably one of the toughest guy in Montreal, And Johnny, Johnny was like a king up there. He was like Hulk Hogan of Canada.
Mm.
And when we went there and we wrestled the Rougeaus, and we beat the hell out of them. And their dads came in the ring. He was at ringside. He came in the ring, and when he came in the ring, I got him and I body slammed him and I climbed the top rope and came out on his neck. And they carted him to the hospital. Yeah. Oh, people. And, well, the whole thing started when they came in the ring. Precious pepper sprayed them in the face. She had that spray stuff, know. Yeah. And I beat the hell out of Raymond, and we Pearl Harbored them when they came through the ropes, And I never thought this was going to go anywhere. It was just, to me, it was pretty normal, pretty regular. But since it was the Rougeaus, people were pissed. I mean, God. So I wound up staying 4 or 5 months. Everywhere we went, we sold out.
Yeah.
Everywhere, the whole province, we sold out. And that grudge lasted the whole summer till probably the end of August and I was leaving in September. I told him I wasn't up there. I wanted to wrestle once a week, just deduct all my taxes. 1 match a week. And first of all, now I'm wrestling almost every night in all the cities all over the Chicoutimi, Quebec, and we had the big blowout in August, I think it was, at the Montreal Forum. And guess what's on the front page of the newspaper? Record crowd ever in the Forum in Montreal. My mom and dad they couldn't believe it.
They couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the biggest crowd ever. I mean, we sold out. I couldn't believe my eyes. And I said, I went up there just to be on vacation, and we wound up breaking a record without even really trying.
Think about what you've done for this industry. So I want to remind everybody that Ronnie is in Hamburg. You'll be doing meet and greets. This is an opportunity to meet this icon. Ronnie, we're going to hit you with the Pharaoh's final question, but I want to hit you with one first. And Pharaoh's final question, you're out of here. I want you to get to Pennsylvania safely. Sir, we thank you for everything you've done for the industry, and you're one hell of a human being, and you're such a pleasure. Phil out there asks, does Ronnie remember being in the video promo with his feud with Jake the Snake Roberts on the set of the video John Cougar's When the Walls Come Crumbling Down?
Yes, I do.
Please.
I remember something about that. My memory is not real good, but it rings a bell. Let's say it rings a bell. I don't remember all of...
I had no idea about
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to watch When the Walls Come Crumbling Down now.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Wow.
That's Phil for
you. It rings a bell somehow. But
that's unbelievable. I want to know more.
All right.
Not just you.
The Pharaoh's, Ron, this is the Pharaoh's final question. Now, this is unscripted. I have no idea what he's going to ask you. He may ask what type of socks you're wearing right now. I don't know.
Why would I do that? Don't feed into this guy, Ronnie.
But anyway, Pharaoh, you're on.
Okay, fine. Rugged Ronnie Garvin, obviously legendary.
Why don't you call him Hands of Stone, Ronnie?
Because I'm going to go with Vince for now. But of course he's Hands of Stone. What do you want me to say? Hands of Spud? What are you talking
Hands
about?
Of Spud.
I just said, you want things to make sense? Find another guy.
Okay.
All right. I mean, what are we talking here?
I'm sorry I interrupted.
Rugged, right? No, it's okay. Do you have any more comments for the fans?
What?
No.
You sure? Rugged Ronnie Garvin, Hands of Stone. See, there we go. I threw it in there for you, big guy. Okay. Obviously a badass. Obviously. But I ask you, who was, in your opinion, the toughest guy you ever got in a ring with? The toughest guy. Since you are the quintessential tough guy, anybody?
God, that's a good one.
There you go.
I think Aku.
One more time for me?
Aku.
Damn. So his reputation is... He's known as the baddest mofo in the business.
He's a bad, but he's a good guy. As long
What makes
as you
him so
don't
bad?
insult him.
What is it about him? What makes him so bad? We've seen bigger. We've seen more. What is it?
Size don't matter in a fight.
Not in that one, huh? Not with this guy. God damn.
Oh, he's a very strong guy, and his ability at fighting is unreal.
Wow.
You know, but I like to work with him. You know, I did. I enjoyed it. I didn't work with him, but maybe 3 times maybe.
Okay.
But yeah.
Damn.
And he's a good guy.
Age old question then. Andre the Giant or Bruce Lee, who would have won in a fight?
Why not? Who's winning?
Oh, I think Andre would.
You think Andre would take Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
I say the same thing. Anyway, Mr. Garvin, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming
really
on our
enjoyed
show.
it.
You're the man. You are a legend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, get this opportunity to meet Ronnie Garvin, Hands of Stone.
Rugged,
Ronnie
too.
Garvin
Thank you, guys.
in Hamburg. All right. God bless. We'll see you guys. Thank you for joining us on Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh, and until what, Thursday?
Thursday.
Is that Thursday? Yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Later.
Thursday. How many times a week?